Create, record, release. These are the three cornerstones of music, and you might have noticed that I use these at the start of most of my videos these days, because that's really what my goal here is all about, is helping you to create, record and release your best music. Now, each one of those in isolation is okay, but unless you're doing all three, then you're not really completing your entire musical experience, because you're not letting the rest of the world hear your music. So in this video, I thought I would explain a little bit about that particular motto: create, record, release. Let's go. Creating. So creating music is something that pretty much everyone in the world has done or does do at one stage or another. Everything from a baby or a toddler banging out a rhythm with their first drum, right up to someone creating a symphony or writing a complete song. Creation is both internal and external. What do I mean by that? Well, you can create things for yourself. You can create your own music, you can create your own songs, you can create music just practicing, playing, doing your thing, or you can actually perform. So you can create music to perform to other people. So you can write a song with your acoustic guitar and you can just sing it to yourself and go, hey, that's a nice song. Then you can actually perform that song to someone else. So the creation process is all about songwriting, creating music. It's about rhythm, melody, and harmony, and how you actually bring those together into a cohesive musical arrangement. So creation is good, but it is only one part of our three-part process, because creation doesn't actually allow us to capture what we've actually done, and it doesn't allow us to share what we've done apart from perhaps an individual person who is listening at the time that we are creating. So we come to recording. So recording is the next phase. Now, you can record things in any number of ways. We're blessed to live in a world where you can record digitally now. So the phone in your pocket, your iPad, I've talked about this a lot, a laptop, a desktop computer, a standalone recorder, a tape recorder if you really want to go old school. So we have the option to record, but for many, many years, so those of us that remember the days of the old 4-track recorders, or have just got a regular tape deck and plugged a microphone in and recorded, there's ways to capture your recording. And recording your music is super important, and getting those recordings sounding as good as you can is obviously going to make them better for the final stage where you're actually going to be releasing and sharing your music. But I guess the thing with recording to keep in mind is don't let perfection get in the way of done. And what do I mean by that? I mean, don't spend all of your time recording and trying to get the absolute perfect sound, because you're probably not going to get there. And that's not to be pessimistic. You want to get the best sound that you can, but the way to get better recordings is to complete recordings and move on to the next one. For the longest time, I was recording and I was not actually finishing, and therefore I was not releasing. And that was okay, but I was not actually getting any better, because I kept going back to the same songs and trying to tweak them here and compress them there and limit them here and EQ them there. And that was okay, but I was never getting anywhere. And it wasn't until I started actually finishing and completing and releasing my music that I actually started improving, and that my songs actually got better. So the point of recording is not just the recording process, but it's about completing your recording to get to the next phase, which is all about releasing your music. So release. Now, this is probably the most important part, but also the part that most people don't do, which is actually getting your music finished, finalized, completed, and then released to the world. So released so that people can hear it. Now, there's a number of different ways that you can actually release your music. You can put it onto SoundCloud, and I've showed you how to do that in the past. You can release it to iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, and get an actual formal release, I guess, for want of a better word, out there in the world. You can use YouTube, you can use Facebook, you can release in a number of different ways. The key is to release or to share your music somehow, because as soon as you share it, it does two things. It finalizes, so it completes the process for you. It's the last step in that create, record, release process. but it also means that you can't kind of go back and do anything else with it because you've actually done it. The other thing that you can do is if you do get a whole bunch of feedback and you go, okay, I've been given some feedback by other people and I do want to go back and tweak it, well then you're going to be able to do that as well. So releasing kind of comes in a few stages. You can do your initial release, which is getting your music out there. You can do your final release if you are really comfortable with it and you want it to be done. But either way, getting your music out there is super important and is something that I highly recommend that you do. If you're not doing it right now, start doing it. Release your first song, and your first song won't be your best song. It very rarely, like there's a lot of people, there's an old saying that's like, it took me 20 years to become an overnight success. And I'm not saying that about myself, but a lot of performers that you're like, wow, they came out of nowhere with this great single. You look at their back catalogue, they've released like 7 albums in the last 10 years. And you go back to their early stuff, like Billy Joel is a classic example. If you go to Billy Joel's early catalogue, wasn't particularly good, but he released album after album and it got better and better. And then you might argue he kind of stopped getting better, but he actually peaked at the point where he was producing and releasing really good music. So be like Billy, get your music out there, start releasing, because it's the only way that you're going to be continually improving, because you're going to learn so much from going through the creation, the recording, and the releasing process. Thanks again for watching. If you've got comments or questions or your own views on create, record, release, and my motto here, you can leave those in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video. Hey, thanks for watching. If you would like to watch some other videos all about creating, recording and releasing your music, you can check out the links below. You can also subscribe to the channel by clicking on the icon in the top right, or you can go to studiolivetoday.com for more audio goodness and rants just like this.